Guru Nation, welcome back to another video on stocks and not financial advice. This is entertainment, not financial advice, but it's something interesting and it's something that I think more of us in the space or even outside of the space should start considering investing in clinical research as an investment sector going forward. I mean, if COVID did anything, it was demonstrate and highlight the importance of clinical research. And if you believe, like I do, that the next decade is going to be very bullish for clinical research, then maybe it's not a bad idea to look at some of these companies. So every now and then we're going to look at a company, just take like kind of a longer look. I've done a video recently where I did like 10. I analyzed 10 companies really quickly. This one, it's a vendor in the space. So we're not taking risks with biotechs or drug companies. We're not waiting on FDA approval. I'll do plenty of those videos too. But the most surefire way to reduce risk is to choose to invest in the companies that sell services to those companies that are developing drugs. Because whether a drug gets approved or fails, these vendors get paid the same, right? So today we're analyzing Catalent Inc. And Catalent, for those that don't know, if you want just a brief overview, Catalent, they help drug companies in clinical trials, but they're also helping right now with the vaccine, both shipping the vaccine and receiving the vaccine shipments, like in mass shipments from J&J. So for example, here's a story from a few days ago. Johnson & Johnson is waiting on regulatory approval of a larger plant operated by Catalent to begin large-scale U.S. deliveries of its authorized COVID-19 vaccine. So Catalent is the industry leader in delivering for vaccines, for biologics, for clinical research companies, for outside of clinical research, global clinical supply. Here's their a quick overview of what they do. 70 plus billion doses that they have supplied, 550 biologics in development. They touched nearly 50% of FDA approvals in the last 10 years, 180 products launched annually, 700 new products in development. If you look at their website here, you'll see that they have oral dose, they have development and bioavailability, dose form design, oral technologies, soft gel technologies, oral manufacturing, oral dose analytical. You go to biologics, you have biotherapeutics, advanced therapeutics, specialty technologies. Then you have inhalation, development and analytical services, ophthalmic blow fill seal, small molecule injectables, regulatory support services, orphan drugs, clinical supply. You have forecast and planning, packaging service, comparator sourcing, distribution and logistics. On the consumer side, they have over the counter, nutritional, beauty. So remember how I was talking about gene therapy? It's going to be the future. I'm reading the book on CRISPR right now. The lady who founded or who invented the CRISPR technology. I'm reading that book by Walter Isaacson, so I'll make a separate video on that later. Their Catalent is getting into the genetics space without having necessarily the risk of the gene therapy company. So remember, when everybody's mining for gold, the surefire way to make money, because mining for the actual gold is very risky, the surefire way to make money is to sell services or sell things to those miners. And that's exactly what Catalent does, probably better than anybody. Catalent has a PE of 58, which is low compared to tech companies. Tech companies are in the hundreds. Basically, what the price you're willing to pay for every future dollar of earnings. Generally, the companies that have more innovation in their pipeline command a higher PE ratio, and so this is why companies like Tesla have a PE ratio of in the thousands. Okay, and then if you look at a company like GE, it has a PE ratio of 21. Why? Because GE is not innovating anymore. They're just depending on their old technologies to carry them through. Catalent is more of I'm not saying they're as innovative as Tesla or anything like that, but they're more on the spectrum of a tech company than they are a GE. even though their business model is simple, it's delivery, it's logistics, it's supply of biologics, but they have such a monopoly on the entire market, and the PE ratio is relatively low for what it actually does. So look at this. Catalent acquires Delphi Genetics. This was just in February. Catalent is also announcing the launch of pDNA development, which is plasmid DNA development and manufacturing services at its Rockville, Maryland facility. Together, the addition of pDNA technology and production capabilities marks a significant milestone for Catalent cell and gene therapy. Plasmid DNA is a key component in most gene therapy and gene-enabled cell therapy production process. With these new services, Catalent's fully integrated cell and gene offering will allow customers to de-risk and optimize their programs along the entire development pipeline. This is a huge move for them. This acquisition fast tracks Catalent's U.S. expansion of plasmid capabilities at its Rockfield facility. Cell and gene therapy production is complex, and most developers prefer to use experienced partners with an integrative offering across the supply chain. Having integrated pDNA supply is a critical component for the fast and efficient production of viral vectors. Helping the gene therapy companies who are seeking FDA approval, helping them do it better, but not taking the risk. The only risk Catalan took is acquiring Delphi Genetics. Basically, they're betting on the fact that there are going to be gene therapy companies in need of their services. So it's very rare that you see a company that is innovative and is on the cusp of really a boom decade in gene therapy and biologics and orphan diseases, yet doesn't have any really. It's always risky to invest in a company, but doesn't have the inherent risk that comes with biotech companies, the traditional type of biotech. This is a service provider in the truest sense. Now, let's look at a presentation that I got my hands on from Catalent. This is about 71 slides. A lot of people underestimate just how difficult it is. Just forget about shipping out the vaccines, and but just for clinical trials, just for the clinical research studies themselves, it's highly regulated. The temperature needs to be tracked. It needs to be reliable. You can't have something late. You can't have something sitting on a truck and going out of the temperature range. This is what Catalent does best. They have a complete monopoly over this space. Yes, there are some other vendors, but they are the $18 billion market cap supplier in this space. So we enable our partners to develop and supply better treatments for their patients by keeping patients first. Whatever kind of investigational product you have, or actual therapeutic or device, they can do it. They have preclinical help, they have phase one, they have phase two, they have phase three, and then they have commercial. They have it from every stage in the process. They keep renewing their contracts and they keep getting better by investing in new technologies like the pDNA that they just bought with Delphi. They also help with the comparator drug. So, you know how in most clinical trials they're comparing the investigational product with the standard of treatment? So, they're the leader for comparator sourcing, basically finding the comparator drug and optimizing the sourcing strategy and everything that goes along with obtaining enough of it for the study. So this is something people don't really think about. Comparator and reference product sourcing and customized strategies. And there's really no one else that does this. Blinding, masking, and over encapsulation, clinical supply management services, clinical supply forecasting services, GMP, good manufacturing practices of primary packaging of clinical supplies, secondary packaging, clinical labeling services, specialty handling and cold chain expertise, expert logistics and tailored solutions. It may not be the most exciting company to invest in. It may not be one that gets almost any headlines, even with COVID, as you see with the J&J. All the vaccines are being shipped with Catalent. So you're not even really hearing about it, but it's there, and their next earnings is going to be, which I think they're going to crush it, is going to be May 3rd. Sometime between May 3rd and May 7th. So this is going to be After most of the revenues for shipping the vaccines, I believe, because it's from the previous quarter, the next two earnings are going to be very interesting for Catalent. I don't expect this thing to go down at all. I expect it to continue going up. This is not one that you have to rush by any means. This is one that you just buy and hold. And if you're bullish in clinical research prospects over the next decade without taking much risk, this is the one that you go with. So let me know what you guys think about Catalent. CTLT is the symbol. And talk to you later. Bye bye.